Welcome
Cool.
to episode 24 of the Two Average Guys Sport Podcast. Just a couple average dudes talking about sports. No former playing experience, no former management experience. Literally two average guys. My name is Sam. Right here, we got hometown coming back. Little crispiness, Leesburg, Esmond Evanson. Good to be home, man.
Yeah, it feels good. I got back Saturday, so it feels good to be back home. Going to be here for a few months, finishing out the semester. We're reunited 5 minutes away, and we're still doing this over Zoom. That's how it goes.
I mean, yeah, for sure. But just a disclaimer, this is going to be our last episode on YouTube. We're fully going to Anchor, which is Apple Podcasts, Spotify. I don't know what else, whatever else.
Google
platform.
Overcast. We figured, YouTube's not really for podcasts unless you're a big name brand. So we're definitely going to try and grow the brand by, just releasing the audio and
for sure. So we do have NBA news, MLB, not much. College basketball, a little surprise. I'm going to let you get to that shortly. Some college football, NFL, followed by, is this crazy or am I crazy? Name a few statements and you're going to go ahead and say if they are crazy, not so much. As well as other sport news. Shall we go ahead and get started?
Let's do it.
All right, perfect. So NBA first, they finally agreed on a start date, and that will be December 22nd. We kind of figured that last time. We kind of said that. So it is December 22nd. The season ended last month in October. Commissioner LeBron, the guy who runs the whole freaking league, he's not happy about it. NBA is probably going to push it back because he's not happy about it. Not actually. 71 days of rest between the last team playing and then the first game, our last game and the first game. What are your thoughts about that?
I mean, I thought it was the shortest off season in between any professional sport. You could say there's pros and cons to it. We've been talking about it for a few weeks now. I think, it's going to hurt them because the NBA is the superstars are not going to play just because they went so far in the playoffs. And I'm going back and forth on it, to say the least. What would you think?
I'm back and forth, and here's why. You got some teams, you got 8 teams that haven't played in a long, long time. We're talking it's going to be 9 months, or right around 9 months when tip-off happens in December. That being said, you have teams who've barely gotten a rest. I mean, they're literally, last season ended mid-October.
Yeah, it's only been less than a month.
Yeah, less than a month. You got the NBA draft, which we're actually going to talk about shortly because I have a little bit of coming in action, and then training camp and games. I'm not a fan of it. I think that's what's the worst thing that can happen if you start on January 1st or something like that.
Because the usual offseason, they finish the season in mid-June, and then they start preseason early October, and then the regular season starts late off. So they have about 4 months off. So if they had started 4 months later now, you're looking at, okay, they finished mid-October. They wouldn't be able to start till mid-February. That's All-Star break weekend. They probably wouldn't have been able to get more than 30 or 40 games. So I see what the pros and cons are for both starting early and starting late, but it should be interesting to see how, who plays and who doesn't. So it's something we have to definitely look at.
And I know it sounds like a weird question, but who is actually at the advantage here? Because teams have been off for 9 months, but when you're kind of in season shape, you're going. I mean, you really are just going, and then it kind of throws you off. Sort of the teams that have, just remember, the teams that didn't go to the bubble, they didn't practice. There's nothing to practice for. So, is this an advantage for those 8 teams that weren't able to play, or kind of the teams that were able to play?
I would say it benefits the teams in the middle of the two spectrums. The teams who either didn't make the playoffs in the bubble or who fell out in the first round because they probably left in September. So they were able to play for a little bit, and they are having a pretty long off season so I think it would benefit them the most.
Yeah, I would actually have to agree with you there. And then, like I said, the NBA draft. Just real quick, a lot of NBA executives believe LaMelo Ball is going to go number 1 to the Timberwolves. Is this a screw up for the Timberwolves franchise? Does he force a trade? Remember when Phillip Rivers and Eli Manning got drafted and back in like 2003. Like they're like, oh, we hate it here. We are not going to be here. Does LaMelo Ball get traded because he demands one?
I don't
mean,
know.
the Timberwolves suck. I'm going to be honest. Timberwolves
Yeah.
are not on TV because no one cares about them. Yeah, you have Karl Anthony Towns, who's a pretty good player, but nothing else. I mean, Andrew Wiggins is gone. D. Russell is there, but he can only do so much. So like,
yeah, I could see them trading it. I think they could. I've seen they would trade to the 76ers, and the 76ers would pick up LaMelo Ball, and then the Timberwolves would give Ben Simmons.
That would be very interesting. Interesting
conspiracy.
To see a little conspiracy action there. Well, we're going to see what happens. I mean, according to this, the draft is about a week away. NBA season is going to be starting late next month. But we'll keep an eye on it. We'll see what happens. That's all we can do.
Yeah, for sure.
And then from the NBA to the MLB, what a screw up, man. Rob Manfred and MLB just continues to screw up.
We should protest and not talk about them. Do they even deserve our attention? Do they really?
Maybe that's what they're trying to do. They're trying to get attention by just keep messing up these calls.
Yeah, but like you said, only slight news we've had in baseball. Justin Turner doesn't get punished anyway. I mean, I don't really think he should have gotten punished, in my opinion. I mean, he just won a World Series. Yeah, it was a complete dumbass thing to do to go back on the field after you just tested positive. I don't know. It's just
to expand beyond that, now there's 5 players on the Dodgers that have tested positive. Obviously, it's the off season, so no one really cares. But
yeah,
Justin Turner, you're an idiot. Sorry, not sorry. Give me some college bad. We're skipping the MLB because screw them. Give us college basketball. You got this.
Yeah. So AP Top 25 dropped today. I always like to see. This is the first kind of test of the season. Who's looking like they're going to be good? Who's not? I can run down the top 10 for you. Gonzaga coming in at number 1, which they're going to have a stacked team. I know they had a really good team last year. They always make deep runs in the tournament. So, and then coming in number 2, Baylor, which that was kind of a surprise to some people, but they are the favorites in the Big 12 this year, which is a sad thing for me.
I'm gonna have to pause you there. Has Gonzaga even won the national championship yet?
Furthest they went was they went and played North Carolina a few years back and lost to they had that team with Luke May and Kobe Jones.
I don't know who either of those guys are.
Oh my God. That's what you. But yeah, going down the list, we got Villanova at 3, no surprise there. Virginia 4. I'm really surprised at number 5, Iowa. They got Luka Garza coming back. He averaged about, I think, over 20 points a game, double last year. So he's going to be an All-American pick probably. We got my team from Lawrence, Kansas, coming in at number 6. It should be interesting to see how they stack. They lost a few great players. Wisconsin at 7, they're always good. Another surprise, Illinois at 8. And then we round out the top 10 with a couple of heavyweights, Duke and Kentucky. So biggest thing I got from this is Midwest representing in this top 10.
Who is the biggest surprise, and then who should be higher or lower on that list?
I thought Kentucky would be a lot higher. I thought Kentucky would be a top 5 team. I know they've brought in a bunch of recruits like they always do with Calipari. Illinois and Iowa definitely stand out, I would say. I mean, they're just teams you don't really see. But, I mean, of course, we haven't played anything of the season yet, so we'll have to see. Also, I saw this headline in college basketball today. So the Patriot League, a smaller conference, Northeast Conference, they only have, I think, 10 teams in the league. And they are playing in 4-game quadrants or whatever. I think I saw Boston University and I believe Lehigh are going to play each other 6 times this season.
Wow.
6
That's
times.
Terrible.
6 times against the same opponent. That has to be some kind of record. I just thought that was kind of interesting. But I don't know how they're going to determine the tournament this year too, because you're going to have just so many fewer games with no non-conference. So it'll be interesting to see.
I definitely have to agree with you there. It's weird, but as of yesterday, we are 2 weeks away from the start of college basketball. November 22nd is the start date, if I'm correct. right?
No, I think it's the 20th. I think it's the Wednesday before Thanksgiving, the
All right.
25th.
So then
A
2
little
days
over
from
2.
now.
Yeah, it's a little over 2 weeks. Yeah.
And then where do you think Kansas should be ranked on this list? Do you think higher, lower, or appropriate?
Appropriate. They
Okay.
won't. They're not going to be. I don't think they're going to be a championship contender like they were last year. I hope they prove me wrong. I'm just gotta be as unbiased as possible, but they'll still be good. They'll still be a good team. So hopefully we
Hey,
don't
that's
get our
what
turn.
we're all about, biased opinions. That's what we are. We're two average guys, man.
That's true. Hopefully we don't get our tournament ban this year. But hey, if we do get our tournament ban this year,
Wait, what?
because
Kansas
of the
Thunder
whole
scandal, nothing
because
new.
the whole Adidas scandal that debacle.
Screwed you.
Yeah.
Going from college basketball to college football. Well, BYU does not they just blow over Boise State. I mean, it's not even close. Is BYU legit?
I mean, the problem is with BYU, they're running out of games. They have one game left, and it's against North Alabama. I looked at their schedule, so they're not going to make the playoff. They haven't played anybody great. Boise State's a good team. They're not a great team, but I want to see BYU play like these top 5 teams. I don't think they would stand a chance.
I think that's interesting how you just said that. BYU has one game left. Meanwhile, the whole MAC, Middle Atlantic Conference, has only played or Mid-American is one game in.
Yeah, like the Big Ten and all these other power conferences have five.
Yeah,
or 6 games
USC is a one game in, and meanwhile BYU has one game left.
Man, I think BYU is 8-0. They played 8 games already, so it's crazy. They're just running out of games though, unless they. I mean, there are some SEC. I did see there were some SEC games that got postponed this weekend, so who knows what's going to happen.
And then, so the next game, a really good matchup, Notre Dame. You called it, takes down Clemson in a thrilling 2 overtime game. Notre Dame, not being good Catholics or Christians, though, man. They rushed the field, screw COVID. Come on now.
That was ridiculous. I mean, it was
such a bonehead move.
That was such a great game too. I probably watched the last fourth quarter, and I watched all the overtimes. Clemson is in good hands though. I think they're Trevor Lawrence is coming back, and their backup who played DJ Uiagalelei, whatever I think.
Something like that. Ukulele.
Yeah, that dude's a stud. I think. Clemson's going to be good for years to come, but it was a thrilling game. Ian Book played really good for Notre Dame. The refs were making it last for 4 hours because they kept reviewing every play, which was driving me crazy. But I called it Notre Dame. I think they're. Do you think Notre Dame is legit now?
I can't. I don't ever think Notre Dame's legit. I mean,
they're up to 2. They're number 2 in the country. So.
But they were number 4 a couple of years ago, and they got blown out by Bama.
That's true.
I really need to see I would like to see Notre Dame play Clemson again in the ACC championship with Trevor Lawrence.
I do too. I think.
And if they beat them there, okay, they are actually borderline contenders.
Well, they're contenders now. I mean, I don't know. I think we're just going to disagree on that, but it's. Okay.
I'm just a Notre Dame hater.
I know you are.
Rudy wasn't even a good player. Get over it.
The Rudy slander does not belong on this podcast. I've been saying that for.
Going down south, Florida just pounces on Georgia. Stetson Bennett does not play in, I think, the second half, or he sat down. And then there was this video of the quarterback that they're putting in, throwing the ball, and literally went and hit some random person. You're not in good hands. Florida, they might be legit. I don't know. I'm still up in the air about them, but.
I missed a lot of Saturday's games because I was just traveling, so I didn't get to watch much except the Clemson Notre Dame game. But I did see Florida. They did beat Georgia. Good road win. I didn't see this coming. I thought Georgia had a really good defense. Meanwhile, they gave up 43 points to Florida. Georgia's second loss of the year, probably knocks them out of the playoff, I would think.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I know it's 2 good teams, but if you're the college football committee, you're just kind of oh, well, they can't beat the good teams.
Yeah, the 2 chances they've had against Alabama and Florida, they've lost, so no good wins.
Heading up north, Michigan, now 1-2 on the year. They barely beat Minnesota. Then they lose to Michigan State. Now they lose to Indiana. Indiana, we thought was ranked high coming into the week. They were number 13. Now they beat Michigan. Jim Harbaugh, man, he's playing with fire.
He won't get fired in the middle of the season.
No.
He's getting fired in the offseason. He's just either that or he's resigning. He will not be the head coach of Michigan next year. I was a little bit skeptical of that last week, but I mean Michigan just
they proved it. They are not legit. And Michigan's never had, I mean, they're, like you said, they're always ranked so high, but they don't ever have like a truly good quarterback or a truly like really good player since who was on the NCAA football 14 cover? It was a Michigan player.
Denard Robinson.
Yeah. Like they have not had a good quarterback since Denard Robinson.
I mean, you could even argue a certain guy who plays for Tampa right now in the NFL, Mr. Tom Brady.
Yeah, we'll have to get back to that one. That wasn't a thriller.
Yeah, but, Michigan, they struggle. And then how about a weirdest scheduling game? USC, they did 9 a.m. local time on a big noon Fox kickoff, whatever it's called, and they barely get by Arizona State. I didn't watch this game. I don't know if you did.
I watched a little bit of it because I was like, this can't be real. Like this has to be a highlight or something. But it was live. I mean, USC played Arizona State, 9 a.m. local time. This upcoming week, I believe it's Arizona plays Oregon State at 9:30 local time. I don't understand it. Yeah, it's like super weird. Let me pull it up real quick. You can go ahead and get to the next game. I need to look this up.
I was going to say it makes sense because you don't have any fans this year, so you could play the game at 3 a.m. and it wouldn't matter.
Yeah, but at the same time, like you don't want to like have the play. I mean, you figure right. Players need to be up around 4 hours before game time. Like, so you're going to tell me that they're waking up at 5 a.m. or whatever? Like, that's ridiculous.
If they were kicking off at maybe 10 or 11, I could see it. But, yeah, 9 a.m. I don't think I've ever seen an NFL or a football game kick off at 9 a.m. at, like, that level. It's
even weird because, like, Big 12 teams that are obviously in, Central Time, they play at 12 p.m. Well, 12 p.m. our time, our Eastern time, is 11 a.m. their time. So, like, it's weird.
There's nothing worse than 11 a.m. kickoff. For
Not a fan?
For me. No, I'm not a fan. I'm sometimes sleeping still, but yeah. But then, going into our next game, Liberty getting a huge upset win against Virginia Tech. I did not see this coming. So I don't – do you know what happened? Like I said, I missed a lot.
So Liberty was going to kick a field goal and try to win the game. Well, what happened was he kicked it, and I don't know if it was blocked or just returned. But either way, the Virginia Tech runner ran it back for a touchdown, and Virginia Tech was going to win the game. Well, Justin Fuente, the coach of Virginia Tech, called a timeout right before, and no one heard. So then the Liberty kicker gets a second opportunity and knocks it right through the post. They win the game, 38-35. Liberty, surprising, man.
It's a good year for the religious schools. I was going to say religious schools, Notre Dame, BYU, Liberty. I mean, they got God on their side this year.
I mean, Liberty now is ranked number 22 in the country. And let's see who they have left. They have Western Carolina, who has not played a game yet.
I think they're FCS. So
NC State, I could see them losing that. UMass. Okay, UMass is 0-2. And then they actually finish up the season against Coastal Carolina. Both teams are 7-0. That's actually a pretty good matchup.
The mid-major championship, I would call that.
I mean, that is terrible. That is god-awful. Just rip to Liberty.
Liberty, BYU, Notre Dame, those three schools, no losses this year.
But they can't celebrate because, they're like religious schools, so they can't drink alcohol. I mean, True. They can barely look at the other sex, so, like.
They'll celebrate with a nice warm mug of hot chocolate. That's their celebration. That's the extent of their celebrations.
A nice glass of milk.
A
glass of the milk.
Yeah, going to kind of an underrated game. You called it. You said Maryland would cover the spread, and then they just blow out Penn State.
Penn State had a 25-point spread coming in this. That was way too high.
Didn't they lose by over 20, Penn State, I want to say?
They lost, I think, by 17.
Okay, so they still got beat pretty bad. Penn State's 0-3. James Franklin, do you think he's on that hot seat or no?
Yeah. I think, you lose the first one. All right, we get it. It's kind of weird year. Second one, okay, that's not looking pretty good. You have to turn it around. You lose to Maryland. Not good.
Hey, they have Tua's brother though, so I mean Maryland could be. You never know.
We're gonna talk about that, but I think the Tagalovas, whatever it's called, had the best weekend in sports. I mean,
yeah, they are.
I think Penn State needs to go undefeated the rest of the season. I don't think it's gonna happen. I get it. You lost to Ohio State. Okay, Ohio State's a good team. Well, you lose to Maryland. That's a problem. You lose to Indiana. That's a problem. I get Indiana's ranked now, but
Indiana might be better than we thought, though.
I think they are, by all means. It's just surprising. Yeah. But yeah.
Yeah, and then kind of going into the COVID news of the week. 10 games were canceled or postponed, and already today I've seen Alabama LSU this upcoming weekend could be in jeopardy because they have LSU has 4 players who tested positive on the team.
LSU just doesn't want to play them. I mean.
Yeah, they're actively trying to get COVID not play. Yeah, I think I saw Mississippi State Auburn. They have been postponed. They've officially postponed for this weekend. So, yeah, no surprise. It's an SEC country, so you know.
Well, I'm not going to say it because I don't want to make this podcast explicit.
Good.
Yeah, I'm trying to keep a good language here. Top 5. We have a new top 5 finally. Bama number 1. Do you like that?
Yeah, I mean Notre Dame grid win. I think they're right where they should be at number 2.
So like you said, Notre Dame number 2. You think they should have jumped Ohio State?
Yes, Clemson was number 1. That's a big win. Clemson hadn't lost in the regular season in 50-something games. It's 2017.
It was since 2017 they lost against Syracuse. Yeah. Ohio State number 3. Clemson number 4. Do you think Clemson should have dropped more?
No, I think they got it right with the rankings this week. I think this is exactly where I would have probably ranked the teams.
Mm-hmm. And then Texas A&M at number 5. I mean, the truth be told is ACC, both ACC schools, Notre Dame and Clemson, someone's going to have to fight it out. Alabama, Texas A&M, someone's going to have to fight it out. Texas A&M already lost at Alabama this year. So does this leave the mark where a team like Oregon can get in? Possibly. Big 12, not likely.
Big 12 is no shot.
Cincinnati?
That would be fun. Cincinnati's up to 7 now, but I don't know if they need teams.
They actually dropped 1.
That sucks.
Right?
I'm cheering for Cincinnati to get in, but honestly, I think the top 4 we have right now, those are going to be your 4 teams in the playoff. If Notre Dame and Clemson went out and meet in the ACC title game, it's just going to be they're going to play each other for who gets seeded where in the playoff. I think whoever loses that game is still going to get in.
I think Clemson will have to win that game. If Clemson doesn't win that game, I can see them getting knocked out.
Yeah, that's true because that'd be 2 losses against Notre Dame, and
now I could see it being if Clemson wins, Notre Dame doesn't get kicked out because.
Well, what about this scenario? Florida, who's in the SEC East, what if they beat Alabama in the SEC title game? Because in all likelihood, it's probably going to be Florida-Alabama this year in the SEC championship.
I could see then Alabama and Florida get in. It just then it leaves room for where's Ohio State going? Because Ohio State's going to run through.
Yeah, Ohio State's getting in, so
yeah, they're pretty much a guarantee. The surprising teams in the top 25, Indiana all the way up to number 10. So they went from unranked after beating Penn State to number 13, and then to number 10. Pretty surprising. I would love to see them play Ohio State. We have to see what happens.
They play in 2 weeks. I'm pretty sure. I saw.
Oh, okay. So week before Thanksgiving.
I think so, yeah. So we'll get to see if Indiana's actually legit.
And then Coastal Carolina is all the way up to number 15. The team in Myrtle, could they do a little, baseball upset like they did a few years ago and somehow sneak in?
Probably
not.
This is probably going to be the highest they get. I don't see them cracking the top 10, even if they went out. It's just, they're not in the best conference, so. Yeah,
I would have to agree. And then Liberty at number 22, another one that's kind of just there. There's nothing I can say about it. They're just there.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, all right. So questions to ask real quick. Can BYU somehow sneak into the playoffs? We kind of briefly spoke about this. 1 game left. Do they sneak in?
No, not a chance. They need absolute chaos, and I don't think they need chaos. They need to schedule more opponents. You have those two scenarios happen, you might get in, and that's
Yeah, and I don't think it's going to. We
no.
talked about Notre Dame versus Clemson. If Trevor Lawrence was in and he played, would this game have gone different?
I would have picked Clemson to win. Trevor Lawrence is he's lost twice as the starter at Clemson.
At Clemson, he's lost one game. He's never lost a regular season game. He's only lost a game against LSU.
That's right. Yeah. He would have won. The only reason I picked Notre Dame was because they didn't have Lawrence. But like I said, Ugalele, he's
Ukulele.
He's a stud. He's a stud. So Clemson will be they'll be in good hands after Lawrence leaves. So.
Mm-hmm. At what point does Cincinnati jump over a team like Florida or Texas, or does it not happen at all?
Like I kind of said, the SEC is gonna have to beat up on each other a lot. They're gonna have to, Florida's gonna have to get upset. A&M's gonna have to get upset. If that happens, and they both have 2 losses, then Cincinnati I think could leapfrog both of them and get up to like number 5. But Cincinnati needs chaos. I think Cincinnati can have a slim chance of getting in, but they need a lot of chaos to happen.
Mm-hmm. So does a Big 12 team still have the chance to make it in the playoffs? Oklahoma State is currently the highest at number 14.
Like I said earlier, they have their chances gone. Oklahoma State blew it out the window when they lost to Texas. Oklahoma and Texas, they've made their way back into the rankings, but they're like 19th or 20th. So.
Yeah, Oklahoma I think is 19th and Texas is 23 or 21.
Yeah, so it's like usual, Big 12's mediocre, so great to be a Big 12 fan.
And then last one, is Indiana legit?
Ask me in 2 weeks.
All right.
that's appropriate answer after Ohio State. Now I'll give you my answer. But
so going from Saturdays to Sundays, give me the first game that happened. Actually, not on Sunday, but last Thursday.
Yeah, so Green Bay jumped out to a crazy huge lead against San Francisco. Aaron Rodgers, he does not look like he ages. So there's that. 49ers are super banged up. 49ers, it's honestly impressive that they're 4-5 with how banged up they are. I have to give them a lot of credit with Kyle Shanahan. They're probably going to finish last in that division this year. They're not making the playoffs. So
yeah, I would have to agree with you there. Next game, the first one we have on Sunday. No one really cares about the NFC East due to preposterous teams. Giants win a close one against the Washington football team. The Giants have now surpassed my Dallas Cowboys. Cowboys are now currently picking number 3. Sad. Really, really sad.
Is that the highest? Would that be the highest draft pick you've ever seen the Dallas Cowboys pick in your lifetime?
In my lifetime, yes, because we had number 4 a couple of years ago when we got Zeke. But
that's right.
They did have the number 1 pick when they picked Aikman, I believe. Yeah, I think it was Troy Aikman.
Here's a little stat. Daniel Jones, as a starter for the New York Giants, is 4-0 against Washington. Against everybody else, I believe he was 1-18. He is 4-0 against Washington. So as long as if he played Washington every week, the dude would be an MVP candidate.
A dude might win the MVP. I will say this: Daniel Jones is starting to look a little bit better. He's starting to he still has the turnover problems, but he's starting to make those throws a little bit better. Able to run, able to trip a lot better. But yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of funny that the 3 bottom teams in the NFC are all in the NFC East. I just find it hysterical.
Sad. I think right now the Cowboys pick 3, the Giants pick 4, and then the Washington football team picks 5.
That's terrible. The Eagles have to coast. The Eagles can lose. The Eagles can win 5 games. They're gonna win the NFC East.
The Eagles pretty much have to win 2 more games, and then that's it.
Yeah,
that's
so. Moving to our next game though. Chicago playing Tennessee. This was maybe kind of a tough game to pick for us. But Tennessee, they pull out the win. It wasn't really much of a game. Bears they've lost 3 straight now, and I believe they're sitting at 5-4. So Nick Foles at 5-1 start. Bears they've dropped from like the 2nd team in the NFC down to like I think they're either 7th or 8th. So they're right around that playoff bubble.
Yeah, it's definitely a little bit scary if you're a Chicago fan. Like you said, Tennessee did not play well. Derrick Henry I think had like 58 rushing yards. Tannehill threw for like 150 passing yards. Overall, not impressive. Just Bears lose 3 straight.
Yeah.
Another NFC North matchup. Matthew Stafford was questionable to play going into this week. He had a positive test, and then he had a negative test, and then another negative test. Vikings win. Little bit kind of a surprise. Not as much as I thought. I believe I picked the game up on you for this one.
Yeah, you picked Detroit. You picked Minnesota, and I picked Detroit.
Okay. Yeah, so good win for me.
It
win.
wasn't much of a close game. Minnesota continues to screw me over like they always do. So nice for that. But going into my team, Kansas City playing Carolina yesterday. It was I called it. I said this is going to be within 7 points. I said this is going to be a sneaky close game, and it was. Kansas City's defense, probably for the second game this year, did not look great. Carolina's offense they had Christian McCaffrey come back. I will give Carolina that. Our rush defense,
who actually is now hurt, by the way.
Yeah,
he got a shoulder injury in the game.
I didn't think he did. I mean, he played the whole game.
Unless
it was wow.
They say he's going to be out a couple weeks.
Wow, I did not know that. That's jeez. But then, Kansas City. Our kicker doesn't know how to make extra points, so he almost blew us the game. And we had a 2-point lead, and Carolina drives down the field, and they took a 67-yard field goal to try and win it, and it was shaped 20 yards right. So thank God that we didn't allow any more yards for them to get closer.
Does this make you nervous as a Kansas City fan going forward?
Yes and no. Yes, because our rush defense is obviously not great. We just hope teams just barrel roll through our defensive line. It's just frustrating to watch teams drive down the field on us. But I still think we are the best team. We have Patrick Mahomes. We have that explosive offense. We're sitting at 8-1, perfect. We're in a perfect position in the AFC. I'm not too concerned. We still got the win, and we got a bye week to get some guys healthy, so I can't really complain.
Yeah. Another AFC team, another AFC matchup that we saw, Houston at Jacksonville. Houston should have blown Jacksonville out of the water like Hurricane Ada, but, I mean, Jacksonville just stuck around. You didn't like that one?
It's not really.
It's not appropriate. I know how this drill works. Houston only wins by 2 points. Should have beat
Jacksonville's quarterback. The first play of the game, I think his name was like Luke Olton or something. He throws like an 80-yard pass down the field, and then Jacksonville scores. So nobody just shows up for Jacksonville.
I mean, Jacksonville, I don't know, really. They almost made the Super Bowl, if you remember, like 3 or 4 years ago. They were this close to beating the Patriots, and now they are back to being the stinking team.
Blake Bortles, what a guy.
Yeah, Blake Bortles is coming at you live.
Yeah. But then kind of going from that game to a couple more AFC teams, Baltimore and Indianapolis. I feel like we see this every week with Baltimore. They just play boring games. I just don't have any interest in watching them. They roll over Indianapolis, get to 6-2. I don't think they're a legit team this year. They look worse than last year. Lamar Jackson I don't know what it is. I think it's an MVP hangover or something. He still can't pass. So Baltimore.
Yeah. It makes me nervous to see if the Ravens go down in the playoffs, if they can climb their way back. And I don't think they can. I don't think they're about it.
Yeah.
It's sad. Whatever. Interconference matchup, we had Buffalo blows Seattle out. You always said that these these West to East Coast matchups are a little, kind of draws it. And so Buffalo just killed Russell Wilson, killed the Hawks, pulled out their guns, started shooting, and 44-34, Buffalo wins.
I also said take the over in this game. That's now 2 straight weeks where the over is hit for my bets. So
for our Thursday listeners, start listening to Espen. We're getting the bets of the week right.
At least the over-unders. The spreads, I don't know what we're doing on spreads. I don't think we're doing too great. But over-unders, I just knew this was going to be – the Seahawks, I mean, I think they have the worst defense in the NFL.
I might have to agree with you there. Excuse me. Oof. Yeah, Seattle's defense sucks, man.
Russell Wilson also I think Mahomes has passed him in the MVP race because he had 4 turnovers yesterday. He had 2 picks, 2 fumbles. Patrick Mahomes is up to I think he's up to 25 touchdowns and 1 pick.
What?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
It's insane.
Hey, Seattle can play the Jets, all right? It's like playing a college team.
Well, we actually beat Buffalo and beat them pretty handily. And Seattle couldn't. So
It was a close game.
yeah. Speaking of a close game that shouldn't have been a close game, Atlanta. I mean, they were up by 21 points with 9 minutes to go. I was like, "There's no way." But yep, they had to make it interesting. They did pull away. Drew Lock, they had the ball. The Broncos had the ball on the last drive. Couldn't do anything. Falcons almost blow it. They're 3-6. Atlanta still sucks, I think.
Mm-hmm. Arthur Blank might have a heart attack. I mean, he
and,
really did pick the worst team to own.
Yeah, you said that to me yesterday. I'm
actually going to let you take the next game as well because I didn't watch this. You almost picked up a game on me, made it even, but this screwed you, man.
Raiders Chargers. This was I watched the ending of this. It was crazy. So Justin Herbert drives down the field and have 2 cracks in the end zone. I think there's like 7 seconds left. First attempt, guy catches it, and it should have been a touchdown. He fumbles it out of bounds, so it's an incomplete pass. And then his next play, catches it and holds the ball, and I thought it was a touchdown. I was going wild. I was like, yes, let's go, Chargers, finally, let's go. And nope, it's not. The Raiders win. So Chargers are still the Chargers. Justin Herbert, great quarterback. He might be the rookie of the year, but he's playing for such a crappy team.
Yeah. It wasn't it was based on what you texted me. I was like, oh, like, and I saw the videos and like I thought the dude had it, but
yeah. I'll let you take the next one for
I'm not mad about this. I'm not sad, nothing. Dallas takes an early lead. Our defense played great under Garrett Gilbert. Well, I mean, he's a quarterback. Or Gilbert Garrett, one of the two. Not 100% sure. I don't know. Pittsburgh makes a comeback in the second half. Big morale victory for us. I think if you're the Cowboys, you start Garrett Gilbert going forward over Andy Dalton come after the bye week.
Yeah, you don't see this from me often or hear this from me often. I was cheering for the Cowboys. I felt bad for them. I felt bad for Dak, and also it would help us a little bit for Pittsburgh to lose. But I still don't think Pittsburgh's legit. I mean, they struggled against a no offense, a pretty bad team.
No, I mean it's not offensive. We didn't play well for the majority of the season. We came alive yesterday. I think we did really good. I don't think the Steelers are legit. I think Patrick Mahomes, if he went against them, you're probably looking at 31 points by the Chiefs.
Yeah. I seriously thought, I think all of America was like, holy crap, is this the upset of the season? Like, is Dallas actually going to pull this off? But, Dallas still in the division hunt. I mean, you got that.
Yeah. Well, we could either have the number 3 pick or we could be in the playoffs right now. Says a lot about our character.
Yeah, and then last late game of the day, Miami, Arizona. This was a underrated, really good matchup. Kyler Murray versus Tua, two great quarterbacks that they played each other in college in the playoff. Miami with Tua 2-0 now. Miami Dolphins are 5-3. So, I mean, what do you think? You think Tua's you stick with him going forward?
I think you have to stick with him going forward. I think you need to develop this year, and he played well. He played really, really well. And, right now, if you think about it, okay, well, the Browns are starting to kind of choke. All right, well, Vegas is not really there. All right, AFC South, Colts not looking too promising. Miami could find their way into the playoffs.
Yeah, I mean, the AFC playoff picture is going to be so much fun to watch. Just 5 or 6 teams competing for 2 spots, basically. So.
Yeah, I would have to agree with you there. And then our Sunday night matchup that was supposed to be a really good matchup. It wasn't. I'm your captain now.
I didn't watch 1 second of the game.
You didn't miss nothing.
I saw the Saints jumped out to an early lead, like 14-0, and then next time I look at my phone, it was 31-0 at halftime. I was like, this can't be right. Tom Brady, I heard Tom Brady had a horrible. He had a horrible game. I saw one of his picks. He just lobbed it up for a prayer, and it was just one of the worst passes I've ever seen. So
yeah, it was not a promising game.
Everybody can hop off the Tampa's good bandwagon because they're good, but the Saints have beat them twice now, and the Saints now. You think the Saints are good? They're on a 4-5 game winning streak.
I'm still not believing them. I know that sounds kind of weird, but I don't think that they are. I think they're good, but I think they have a lot to prove left.
Right now,
prove.
A lot less, yeah. Um,
Yeah,
if the playoffs started now, the Saints would be the 1 seed.
that's crazy.
Yeah, that's
That's crazy. All right, we're gonna play a little new segment. Am I talking crazy? I'm gonna list off a few statements. You tell me if I'm talking crazy. First one is Mitchell Trubisky starts another game this season for the Bears.
I say you are not crazy.
You think
What?
he starts?
Yeah,
I
I think it's. I can see them just kind of being like Miami. They may just go back and forth between quarterbacks all
Yeah.
year, and same kind of like Dallas too. They might just kind of go just one of those situations.
I would have to
Um,
agree with you there.
I'll take the next one for you. So are the Packers the new favorites to win the NFC after Tampa and Seattle get blown out and take big losses?
I think so. Like I said shortly ago, I don't think the Saints are legit. I still think Seattle's good, but they're like Oklahoma. You got to make every game a shootout, and so if that's the case, I could see the Packers beating them in a shootout. I mean, we saw it a few weeks ago. The Packers just went down to Tampa, and the Packers got smacked. So which team is going to show up? Or did the Packers do the smack? And the Packers, no, they got smacked.
No, the Packers blew Tampa out.
Oh, they did.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, yeah. So I wouldn't be surprised if the Packers make another trip to the Super Bowl.
NFC is so tough right now. I don't know there could be legit be 7 or 8 teams in the NFC. I think that I would say could go to the Super Bowl. And then speaking of another one that's kind of interesting, am I talking crazy when I say the Vikings will make the playoffs this season? Their next 4 games include very easy matchups. Well, not easy, but winnable games against Chicago, Dallas, Carolina, and Jacksonville. Am I crazy?
I don't think so. I think the Vikings are starting to figure it out a little bit. We know it. Kirk Cousins is not the man in Minnesota. But you run the ball, you let Dalvin Cook do his thing, you get it to Adam Thielen, you get it to Justin Jefferson. I think Minnesota can very easily win the next 4 games. Chicago's struggling. Dallas, defense is struggling. But if you light up them enough, their offense isn't catching up. Panthers, all right, that might be an underrated game. Jags, it's probably a win. I wouldn't be surprised.
I think I would be surprised. I disagree with you. I think the Vikings are – but the NFC they're just beating up on each other, it seems like. I think you could be like an 8-8, 9-7 team and make the playoffs this year in the NFC. It's just that there's just so many teams that are kind of in that same boat of, mediocre to good. So, it should be interesting.
Next statement. Baltimore's offense is not legit.
You are not crazy for that statement. Lamar Jackson still can't figure out how to pass. Their run game, Mark Ingram, Gus Edwards, they're not as good. Their defense is okay. They just, like we said, they could just play boring football and I just don't think they're a legit team, and I don't think their offense is either.
Yeah. All right, next one. The Raiders are a playoff team.
You're talking crazy.
You think so?
I think I've said this for a while. Just what I believe. Derek Carr, he'll get you that 8-8 record. He's a stable quarterback, mediocre quarterback. I also just love to bag on the Raiders, but I don't think they're a legit team. Yeah, I shouldn't say anything because they actually beat us. They're our only loss, but it's.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at their wins, all right, they beat the Saints at home. Well, they go to Arrowhead, they beat Kansas City. That's a pretty big statement win. They beat a close one in Cleveland, but they lose to, really mediocre teams. I believe – who have they –
I think they've lost to – I want to say they've lost
blank.
I want to say they've lost to the Broncos, maybe.
They might have. I'm going to look that up real quick. Give me the next am I crazy statement.
Am I crazy for saying Dallas is going to flip the switch this season and win the NFC East under Garrett Gilbert?
I think you are talking crazy. I think Garrett Gilbert can get us a couple more wins, but I don't think, we're going much more.
Yeah, I would definitely have to agree with you there. Dallas is just it's a throwaway season, just try and take any positives you can out of it. So
yeah, and looking at the Raiders schedule now, they've lost to the Bills, the Patriots, and the Buccaneers. So they lost to some good teams, except the Patriots.
Well, and the teams you listed off that they beat. I mean, they beat the Chiefs,
The
Saints,
Panthers.
they've played a tough schedule. I mean,
Yeah.
maybe I might come around to them. I mean, they're 5-3, probably playing the toughest schedule in the NFL.
Yeah, it's definitely close. Now, give me the other sport news of the week.
Yeah, so we got a little bit of golf news. I didn't watch much of the Houston Open. Carlos Ortiz, first Mexican-born player to win on the PGA Tour since like the 1940s. So cool for Mexico to have a winner there. And transitioning into this week, we have a nice little tournament going on at Augusta this week. Fall at Augusta. I saw the pictures of what the course looks like with fall leaves. Oof. You sent me a specific picture on Instagram that we'll leave out, but it was a fun picture to look at. I'll probably give more of a prediction for our show on Thursday that comes out, but biggest major of the year, Tiger Woods, the defending champion.
Are they doing the par 3?
They're canceling that this year because of COVID. It's going to be super weird with no stands and no fans. It's just, you watch Sunday at the Masters, you hear those roars on TV. You won't get that this year. That'll be strange. I'll still take Masters over no Masters, so happy about that.
Yeah, I mean, the next two majors are the Masters.
Yeah, can't really complain. And then going into a little bit of other sporting news with NASCAR. I actually watched the race. Chase Elliott wins his first ever championship. Cool to see him. NASCAR though, it's the popularity for that sport has just gone down the drain. It's just nobody cares. I used to be a huge fan when I was a kid. Now I kind of pay attention a little bit. So, cool for Chase Elliott.
And then we do have some international matches this week. USA versus Wales. The future of U.S. soccer is supposedly here. Supposedly be now. We're gonna see what happens though. We're gonna see.
Yeah, Wales is a decent team. They made the Euro in 2016. Now they got Gareth Bale, stud. He's on the back end of his career, but I'm ready for the U.S. to get into World Cup qualifying here. I think they start next year. I'm pretty sure.
I believe they start next. Yeah, I believe they start next year. I don't know how it's gonna work though, because usually the Olympics, it's all U23 and under, and so then we could actually. Now I think about it, we could probably have every single one of our players be on that team, with the exception of two.
I like the direction it's heading. I haven't watched a ton of U.S. matches recently, just because they haven't played a lot. So
we're going up.
We need to. I'm glad we got rid of the Clint Dempsey's and Josie Altidores and Tim Howard's of the world. They were great, but they're just so old now. It's just
Hey, I love Clint Dempsey. Michael Bradley, no, you suck.
Michael Bradley is ass.
But as always, T_A_G Sports is our Twitter. The name's going to be above right there, Espen's head. This is also our last episode on YouTube. We are fully going to audio, Spotify, Apple, Google, I don't know, whatever.
It's the last time you guys can see our shining faces. So
yeah, I mean, we'll be back one day long from now.
Yeah. So yeah, like Sam said, follow us on Twitter. We've been lacking on the content. It's just one of those busy stretches for me and Sam, but we're definitely still trying to get that content out. Sam picks up two games this week on me, so 7 games up with 8 weeks left. 8 weeks left.
Yeah.
So
getting a little nervous for you, man.
I'm gonna be wearing Cowboys masks. Great.
Yeah, not a promising thing. But yeah, exciting stuff.
Yeah, we might do some shows together next week, so it'll be fun to have some in-person audio together. So see you then.
Yeah, for sure. All right, take care, man.
See you later.